Hello and welcome to Future of Mining 365. It's a pleasure today to have guests who have lived and breathed mining technology and who are both passionate about the digitalization and diversification of our industry. Agarwal, CEO of Wertheim-Willey, and Katrina Willey, Director of Marketing at Wertheim-Willey. How are you both today?
We're doing good, thank
you.
you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Craig.
Yeah, as I said, it's brilliant, really brilliant to have you here because so many of our viewers are at different stages of their digitalization journey. And because you have such an industry-wide view of it, I'm sure your insights will be invaluable. If I could ask a question to you first, Katrina, this is obviously a huge topic, change management. Why do some companies find it easier than others to handle change management?
I think there are several layers to that. I think one of the main points to consider in a change management is going to be how far the company is along with their culture management piece. So businesses have really started adopting the concept that the success has to do a lot with the culture and the impact that it plays on their business. So as a company begins to move into change management, it's kind of stepping out of the old habits and into some new digital maturity. How ready are they to prepare their team and support them through the process? And I think the ability for a company to approach transformationally, so working on the people part of it, and then the transactional piece, where they step into finding the right tools to empower their staff and their employees. So, overall looking at the organization's social context, the emotional context, and articulating the vision clearly with good communication from the beginning. And then the ability to allow the managers to help unlock the change management moving down. So there are many layers. Some are with the people side of the business, and some of them are with the tools that you provide them to continue the change management journey.
Excellent. Thanks, Katrina. And do you have any thoughts on this, Ash?
Yeah, of course. I think change management is something that is that has been proved vital in terms of any success or failure of any project, be it digital transformation, be it technology implementation, or be it any project. Because for success, you need to change people's behavior. You need to have things done differently. If you are not changing anything, nothing will change. So the change is required in order to have different outcome. So the change management is something that is essential. But the funny thing about change management is that if you're thinking about change management, chances are you've already lost it. Because the timing in the change management process is very important. If there is already a solution or a new tool that you want to implement, and then you are thinking about how to change my people's behavior, it's game over. You lost it. Because then people, they have their own priorities, they have own preferences. They are not going to spend time and energy in making you successful. It's your project, it's your tool. Does not happen. The idea around change management is that you don't manage change. It's a misconception. It's like stress management. You don't want to stress at all. So you want to have change leadership. You want to lead that change right from the beginning, that you involve people, those you expect to change their behavior very, very early in the game. When you're on the drawing board, thinking about what problems are worth solving and what technologies are there to help me solve those problems. You involve those people early in the game so that they look forward to that technology in advance and they're mentally prepared to change their behavior. But if you have already done something and you expect people to change, it may not change at all, or if it does, it will not sustain. So the timing is very important. The second thing is about incentives. What's in it for them? Why should someone change for a new tool? So incentives are very important to be aligned. So if you're thinking about the frontline people in mining, they are incented for an 8 hours shift. Probably they have incentives tied up with production. As long as those incentives are aligned with your new technology or new tool or new digital transformation practice, As long as those incentives are aligned, change is possible. But if there is no alignment, or it does not matter if they use the tool, they don't use the tool, they're going to make the same money, guess what? Change management is going to be hard.
Perfect. Thanks, Ash. And taking on another dimension of that, and I'm sure it's something that you've seen a lot in your career, having been involved in digitalization from an early stage. Are we still seeing a wide divergence between companies in how far they are down the digitalization journey?
Man, this is a heavy question. Let's think about it. First of all, it's important to understand that every single company will have a different definition of digital transformation. For some company, it might be saving fuel consumption by, let's say, 1%, increasing productivity by 2%, reducing safety incidents by, let's say, 10%, or anything else. Very objective, very oriented around business outcome. For some other company, a digital transformation might be implementing SAP or some other ERP system that takes away the Excel-based or paper-based system. For some other company, it might be, I'm going to start a new mine in somewhere Western Australia, and this mine is going to be completely digital from the ground up. So the different companies have different idea of what they mean by digital. And that's one aspect. The second aspect is that based on the budget every company allocates to the digital projects, the definition and the speed changes. Some companies, some mining companies have billions of dollars assigned towards a digital initiative. Other mining companies cannot afford to do so. And it is a double-edged sword. More money doesn't always mean better digital progress. More money doesn't always mean faster implementation, because the other edge is towards you is that more money means that you have a larger team, that you have more incentive to do things yourself. And there are several cases in the industry that some companies said, we are going to be a software company that happens to be in the mining. And that was an ambitious goal. They spent billions of dollars, but they were nowhere afterwards because that's not their core competency. On the other hand, if you think about the B miners, or in those geographies where people understand that they can't do it by themselves, they need to have some help from outside, they are more successful in at least making incremental progress. So it comes down to, what are we trying to solve across the board? Then it comes down to, how are we trying to solve? And when it comes to what, this is something that my team and we help our customers understand. And if you can imagine a 2x2 matrix, and one axis is feasibility, the other axis is viability. So think about all the possible use cases or challenges that you could solve with digital, and plot them on this axis, feasibility and viability. You will find that there are certain problems or opportunities that are highly viable, that if you solve them, it will result into a lot of money. It will result into a safety savings or something else. There are certain opportunities that are not that great, smaller problems. At the same time, some opportunities are solvable. You can actually do it. The other opportunities, despite how big they are, they cannot be solved with the existing infrastructure. Unless you have that clarity, is I want to only solve these problems that are highly viable and also highly feasible. Or if you start spending your time on low feasibility, low viability, guess what's going to happen? A, you won't see success after a long time. B, even if you see success, it's not going to be worth it. People are going to lose focus. People are going to go back to what they have been doing. And back to your change management question, the change will reverse. So understanding what is worth solving and what can be solved is very important. This is what my team advises our customers by design thinking workshops. Understanding all those use cases across the board, plotting them on feasibility and viability, and also making sure across the organization, everybody understands that these are the problems worth solving, even if they are not in my area. So we have cheerleaders across the board. So that's very important when it comes down to the divergence in the digital transformation success. The second thing is how. How do you do it? Do you want to do it all by yourself? Like if I want to drink a beer, I can go out and buy a beer from the market, or I can start in my basement and start a brewery. I can, in both the cases, I'll have beer, likely. In the second case, I might not have beer. And if I do, I'm already outdated. I can only have one flavor. I don't have variety. I won't know if I like the beer or not. So those are the things like what and how you want to do it that is causing the divergence in the industry.
Excellent, thanks, Ash. And I enjoyed the beer analogy as well on a Wednesday afternoon here in England. Katrina, do you have any further thoughts about that divergence and how to tackle it?
Sure. To parallel what Ash has covered, it's basically when you look at the landscape of operational challenges, those can be based on the environment, the region, is it open pit, is it underground? There are so many layers to the reason that a mine may or may not be up to current times with their digital transformation. So based on their adoption of current technologies and digital maturity, there are trusted advisors and technology integrators in mining that can take a look at the entire landscape of a mine and decide what technologies would be the most beneficial based on their landscape. I think having a team that can assess with not having a biased opinion to lead you through a digital transformation, but at the end of the day, it really depends on what technologies will enable the mine to do what matters to them in real time. Are they most interested in monitoring, managing, optimizing, payload systems, safety technologies? We can go on and on, but the things that will empower them to transform their mine from the staff level up are going to be the things that make the staff feel safe. We've got fatigue monitoring out there, proximity detection, collision avoidance. We've got the geotechnical side of things to be monitoring. We've got environmental. So it really just depends on that landscape and what matters most to the mine in real time. And then having the access to the data to keep their eye on their progress and their gains as they keep on with their journey.
Brilliant, thanks both. I think both those answers really explain the importance of clarity in the objectives that these companies have. And the way you outline it, it certainly makes what's a very complex landscape seem much clearer. But as you both mentioned, there's a number of solutions out there. There seems to be hundreds more each year. Turning to you, Ash, with your great career history in developing these solutions and working on them, what marks the difference between a technological solution that can provide real benefits and others that fall by the wayside?
Yeah, it's a great question. And it's not just the mining industry, but across the board, across all the resource industries, we are going through the Alexa problem. And the Alexa problem is when Amazon launched their product Echo, where Alexa was the voice assistant, Alexa wasn't smart enough to understand what you were saying. And because the product wasn't smart enough, people were not buying it. And because people were not buying it, Alexa wasn't getting enough feedback, enough data to train, to get better. So it's kind of a virtuous cycle that was going on and on and on. So sales is not happening, product is not improving. So it's a lost battle. It's exactly the same with industry. Because the industry is not testing enough AI products or enough technology products, the products are not getting better. And because products are not getting better, people are not buying it. So that's the virtuous cycle. Amazon broke it by heavily discounting the sales price of Echo product and also investing heavily on product development. How do we do that in the industrial world, in our world? How do we solve this problem? So when it comes to predictive analytics, AI players, they promise the world because theoretically it's the world. Theoretically, there is massive value from those solutions, but they definitely fall by the wayside. They don't deliver. And for the reasons that I just spoke about. And those AI players don't have access to data when it comes to mobile machines specifically. And because they don't have access to data, they can't go to the customer and say, here is out of the box solution. You implement it and you start getting value day one. That does not happen. They have to go through the whole sales cycle, sign the contract, and then they start getting data. And then they will start training their models. And then it will take 6 to 9 months to start seeing the first value evidence. Customer does not have that patience. So from that perspective, those are high promise technologies, high promise solutions, but the implementation, or I would say last mile problem, access to data, that is causing them to disappoint their customers, and customers are losing trust. On the other hand, there are point solutions that don't promise moon. They say, I'm going to deliver this one simple thing, and they deliver it. So for example, some companies, including Symboticware, they promise that we are going to give you AI ready or foundation of AI kind of data across all your systems. They are able to do it very quickly in a matter of a couple of days. So those are the two extreme cases. The happy medium has to be somewhere in the middle, somewhere both the extremes, the AI players and the simple solutions, they have to meet and make sure that the end user, the ultimate customer, is getting the value they deserve.
Excellent. Thanks, Ash. And I'm glad that your Alexa comment didn't wake up my Alexa. Thankfully, she's downstairs and didn't hear you. Turning to you, Katrina, and this is something that I've heard companies ask a lot, because yeah, like you mentioned, Ash, the term is bandied about a lot. What are some of the real tangible benefits that AI can bring?
So I think that, well, for underground mining, first of all, there are so many gains that stood to be had in underground. You know, Symboticware started out with technologies in the underground world over a decade ago. And so working from the most rugged, harsh environments all the way up to open pit and now into the resource industry, it's been interesting seeing the impact that AI will be having on underground. So as underground mines are going deeper and deeper and they're moving towards continuous mining, I think that those are presenting new challenges environmentally, safety-wise, climate control. You know, we've got ventilation issues. And as the more we're bringing data into the equation and understanding how artificial intelligence can support those processes, we're removing some of the safety hazards that are involved with the human side of the work. So I think safety is one of the biggest things that AI is going to bring underground. Then we've got efficiency in regards to providing less of an environmental impact with our CO2 emissions. We're moving more towards clean mining as we get into AI driving operations. So I think that the companies that are going to start adopting big data are going to see that they're empowered through the AI gains. So I know that as far as you know, the environmental impact has been constantly something that mining is scrutinized over. You know, how are mining operations affecting the environment? So, you know, 34 billion tons of greenhouse gases were put into the atmosphere last year. So by addressing those catastrophic issues with AI, it really enables mining companies and the entire resource industry to move towards clean mining.
So Ash, what do you feel is the next major evolutionary step in industrial data in mining?
Yeah, I think you mentioned the word evolutionary, which is important to understand, because the way it has evolved is that industrial machinery, if it's fixed machine, it's fine because they follow a standard ISA 95. Most of the machines are connected. When it comes to mobile machines, the biggest challenges that the customers have faced was access to their own data. And that was like way back, almost 2 decades, when they even did not know what is happening with my machine. The machine fails, and then only they come to know my machine has failed. They don't know how much fuel they are consuming. They don't know if my operators are safe enough. Are they following safety protocols? They don't know. They did not know how much carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases they are emitting every year. All that was not available. So the system started to get the data off the machines and provide it in a nice looking dashboard so that you know what is happening across your fleet. So that was the first step. Our company started with that, helping our customers getting data off the machines. Today, we are at a point where the data is meaningless unless you can find meaning of that data. So our responsibility is not just to give them a dumb data. Our responsibility as a supplier in the mining industry is to enable our customers take better actions and not just give them data, but give them actionable insights. Actionable insights, by what I mean by that is things that we can tell, hey, this is what is going to happen. This is what you should do today to avoid that from happening if that's a bad thing. That is needed. That's an evolutionary next step. We have already started serving our customers with that, but that is definitely an evolutionary need for the industry.
Perfect. Thanks, Ash. And yeah, I know that it sounds like with so many solutions and the way that they're communicating with each other today, there can be a problem integrating them all. And like you say, actionable insights is the critical thing. No, not every mining company can employ a data scientist to interpret it for them. And turning to industrial IoT and underground in particular, do you feel that it's on the cusp of major change as networks move down underground?
Yeah, of course. I think you must have read about our press release with our partnership with Nokia, and that's one small step in the direction of enabling our customers. And going back to the previous question about evolutionary step, the industry faced two major challenges in terms of how do they make their operations better. But the two major challenges was collecting the data from the machine and also connecting with that data. So if you think that your machine has no connectivity, no network connectivity, even if you are able to get data off the machine, there is no way you can take that data anywhere else. You have to be on the machine to know what's going wrong with the machine, and that's not sustainable. 4 million machines in the world that do not have access to data. Can you imagine? It's a huge problem. Your customers spend $100 billion every year because they cannot predict, they cannot save from their machines from unscheduled downtime. $100 billion. Mining industry alone, they spit out 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide from the mobile fleet only. 1 billion ton. Can you imagine that? It's insane. And the solution lies in the IoT, in the industrial AI world. That's where the solution lies. The only thing needed is to cover the last 2 miles, connection and collection. You enable the companies to be connected to the network so that they can run analytics and they can access data wherever they want. The second mile is getting the data off the machine. And like I said before, when you have that, you can turn that into actionable insight. What we do in terms of when you talked about the cusp of major change in the industrial IoT, what we are trying to do today is we help our customers identify the good actors and the bad actors across their fleet. It could be a machine, it could be a person. Good actor means the machine does not consume a lot of fuel, does not produce a lot of greenhouse gases, and is productive, and it does not cost a lot of money in terms of maintenance. The bad actors can be reversed. Similarly, people, the operators, some people are heavy feet. They want to accelerate faster, only to brake it later on. And they want to brake hard, and they overspeed and all that. And that consumes a lot of fuel. Idling alone, the idling of the truck, when people are just doing nothing and the machine is on, idling alone constitutes 3.5% of that 1 billion greenhouse gases. If you can just help customers identify the people who do more idling than the others, 3% of 1 billion tons of carbon dioxide can be saved every year. That's something that is meaningful, that is tangible, and that is worth solving. And it can be solved. Going back to the feasibility and viability, this problem is viable and this problem is feasible to solve.
Excellent. Thanks, Ash. And I think that you've both really cut through a lot of the terminology and sort of fluff that's sometimes around digitalization and given us really clear, tangible answers on how these problems can be solved. So thanks so much for your time again today. It's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. I appreciate it.